What's going on, guys? And welcome to another episode of my NBA playoff recap stream, which I'm going to top off with my free sports betting pick at the end of this. As you can see, my nose got a little burnt. Got a sun kiss playing golf today, but still got some basketball to cover today. So let's talk about the May 23rd recap. And we're going to start with my parlay that I nailed, which was Wizards +8 and over 227.5. The Sixers won 125-118. There's not a lot of defense in this game and a lot of elite shot making by Beal. I felt that he played really, really well and really carried this Wizards team on his back. This was like a really back and forth and close game all the way throughout, really down to the last minutes, but they couldn't quite get it close and near at the end of the game. We saw Westbrook step right out of bounds with 37 seconds left, down 5. That really sealed this game. And I think the guy that we've got to take away from this is the outstanding play of Tobias Harris, who had a hot start operating specifically in the low post and mid-range area. He didn't really take a lot of threes in this game. He was really mastering that touch on that turnaround fade over everyone. Hachimura was trying to guard him. Bertans was getting matched onto him. He was really taking advantage of that poor Wizards defense. And I felt that he was the guy that impressed me, who was really hot early, but I think was 1 of 7 in the fourth quarter. He finished with 37 points. And in that fourth quarter, when he started struggling, they relied on Joel Embiid to really take them home in this game. And he had 3 really big mid-range jumpers over Gafford to seal this game. And I felt that Alex Len, Robin Lopez, and Gafford couldn't really contain Joel Embiid. And he finished with 30 points and took 13 free throws. We've got a question in the chat saying, do you think the Lakers can beat the Suns, especially considering that most Suns players are inexperienced young guys and Chris Paul? That's a great question. And I think that they're going to struggle against the Lakers overall. I feel like they're going to be the more experienced team. And since they haven't had those playoff reps, they're going to really struggle to beat this team. So, no, I don't think they're going to be able to beat the Lakers. I think the Suns are going to struggle later in the series. This felt like a feel-out game 1 by LeBron, who only ended up taking 13 shots in this, which was pretty aggressive early in the game, but he seemed to slow down throughout the game and was struggling early. And he noticed that the team was struggling, so he decided to put them on his back a little bit. They went down 7 after the first, and then we saw a little bit of extracurriculars here with Chris Paul going down early in the second with like a right shoulder injury, kind of went out for a bit. And we saw Devin Booker really come out to play today with 34 points. And the Suns ended up closing this one out, led by Devin Booker. We saw LeBron go down with this weird shoulder thing that led to a big scruffle and Cameron Payne getting ejected, which was kind of a weird play. But I was really impressed with Devin Booker's 34 points. He was scoring at all cylinders of the game, low post driving, scoring mid-range, and of course the three-point shot. And I think that another thing that really impressed me was the play of DeAndre Ayton. He really held his own and outperformed Anthony Davis. And he ended up finishing with 21 and 16 and only missed 1 field goal, shot 10 of 11, which is pretty insane. But another big game that I think was a huge one here was the Hawks versus Knicks, which we saw Derrick Rose in the last 2 minutes of this game, which we're going to just jump right into the last 2 minutes because I think this was a really good back and forth game. It looked like the Knicks had it, but the Hawks came storming back. And then we go to 2 minutes left. Derrick Rose is making the decisions for this team, and Trae Young was getting a lot of superstar calls on the other end. And then he finished it off with a nice game-winning floater with 0.9 seconds left. And I think we're seeing his ascension as a player on not just a good scorer, but a great player on a playoff team, which really impressed me. And not just being an empty stats guy. He had 32 points, 10 assists, and 7 boards in this game. And obviously had the crucial game winner and really came to play late in this game. Another guy that impressed me was Bogdanovic, who had 18 points, and he hit a massive 3 with under a minute left to tie this game. On the Knicks side, I felt that RJ Barrett had a few huge plays and had a massive poster on Bogdanovic, and he finished with 14 points in this game. It was nice to see a Canadian basketball player hoop like that. Obviously, only 21 years old. The spotlight didn't seem to scare him. He was aggressive in this game, attacking the rim. Alec Burks had 27 off the bench for the Knicks, which was insane, and he was hitting clutch shots down the stretch. And then the guy that we thought was going to take this one home for them, the guy who's supposed to be their finisher, and Julius Randle, really struggled in this game, only having 15 points on 6 of 23 shooting, and he seemed passive late in this game. The last one I'm going to talk about here is the Grizzlies Jazz game. So this was kind of crazy. The Grizzlies beat the Utah Jazz 112-109, and my one note is, wow, I did not expect that. And I missed my parlay, which I gave you guys, which was the Jazz money line and over 207. They hit the over 207, just didn't quite get that money line. The Jazz did not shoot great in this game. They're really sloppy on the turnovers in this, and I think that this was just a tough game for the Utah Jazz. Obviously, not having Donovan Mitchell hurt them. Bogdanovic was hot in this game. He finished with 29 points. The big storyline for them was obviously no Donovan Mitchell, and then the rest versus rust compared to the Grizzlies, who have been playing competitive basketball, specifically playoff level intensity games now for over a week, with 3 games in there where they were able to get their reps in. Dillon Brooks had a huge game. He impressed me, and the whole team impressed me as a whole. He had 31 points on 13-26 shooting. JV had 15 and 12 and outplayed Rudy Gobert, who ended up fouling out in this game, which was big because this gave Ja Morant more space, and we saw him hit some really clutch shots, a big floater to seal this game as well, and he finished with 26 as well. So that was an impressive win. I'm not really worried about them, but there's a couple of questions in the chat I'm going to answer. So do all Western Conference first-round series seem to have high probability of upsets? So let's talk upsets. So in the Western Conference, there are 4 series. Start with the Utah Jazz and the Memphis Grizzlies. That's not going to be an upset to me. I just don't think they're going to have enough firepower to handle the Utah Jazz. They shot terribly from 3. I think they're going to come back with force, knowing they got to win this one at home. In game 2, I expect Donovan Mitchell to probably play in this one as well, which should help them. In conjunction with that, I think another big series in the Suns-Lakers, I expect the Lakers to win this, and I don't think the Suns winning would be an upset per se because of how good they've been all season. But I think that would be the kind of series where I don't really know who's going to win that. My expectation is the Lakers, but if they end up losing game 2, it's a whole different story. I don't expect LeBron to lose game 2 because he knows how important it is to take one on the road early in a series, but it could end up being that type of thing where they end up losing there. Another big play for me that I think is an interesting series is Blazers-Nuggets. I think the Blazers actually do have a chance to upset the Denver Nuggets. And in fact, I don't think they're the favorite in this series, but it is close. And I just don't believe in the Denver Nuggets without Jamal Murray. I think they just have too many holes at the guard position with Austin Rivers and Campazzo. I just don't think it's enough to really get them over the finish line there. And the 4th series, which is the Clippers-Mavs. I think the Clippers will win that. I'm not too worried about that. Do you think the Nets might sweep the Celtics? That was my prediction, and I think they'll end up sweeping them. I don't think it's going to end up being that much of a competition. They had a good chance of winning that first game, and they blew it. So I think it's as good as done in that series. Who are your picks for the finals, and who do you expect to win the championship? So my picks were the Philadelphia 76ers and the LA Lakers to make it to that NBA Finals, then the Lakers to win it. The reason I chose the Lakers in the West is because they're the defending champions. They have the best player in the Western Conference. And the reason I picked the Sixers over, the Nets or the Bucks is because I feel like it's going to be a dogfight in a lot of those series. I think that when we see these teams go head to head, especially when we see the Bucks have to play, this Miami Heat team early, and then they're going to have to match up against this Brooklyn Nets squad head to head. It's going to be a difficult situation overall. And I just am not sure that whichever team comes out of that clash, I don't think they'll have enough juice left or health to actually beat the Sixers. And I think there's no answer for Joel Embiid. So that's why my pick is that. My free bet for tonight, which, you got to put in the next 30 minutes, is the Bucks to win this game. Better than 5 of 31. They're going to shoot better than that in this series and in this next game coming tonight. And also, I'm going to parlay that with over 222.5. So I expect them to be a high scoring affair because they're going to be hitting their. And I expect the Bucks to win by hitting a lot of three balls, like I said. And I just think they're going to end up blowing this one open a bit tonight, given that the Miami Heat missed their opportunity in that late game situation in Game 1. And that's it from me. Thank you guys for listening. I'm going to be back on tomorrow morning to talk about tonight's 2 games. Make sure to catch them, watch the highlights, or wait for me to pull up and give you guys the rundown. Thanks for listening. If you like this, make sure to sub. I appreciate it. Keep giving you guys free picks and keep giving you guys more content. Thank you.